Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel for another video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notifications of future videos. Today I want to talk to you about my first 3 months in the trucking industry and with Millis Transfer. I've compiled a whole bunch of notes and numbers and what have you here. Currently at a Petro doing a 34-hour reset, so had some time, thought I'd put some stuff together to make this video. So what I'm going to be going over is positives and negatives of the trucking industry and positives and negatives of Millis Transfer, and then I'm going to get into the numbers that I've seen as far as pay, mileage, stuff like that with Millis Transfer. Now, a little disclaimer here, this is obviously just my opinion, what I've seen, what I've done, what I've experienced. By no means is this any sort of all-inclusive. This has nothing to do with anybody else's thoughts, feelings, experiences. This is just my own. So, if you're an experienced driver, you've been out here for 20-some years watching this video, this is not your experience, please don't bite my head off. This is just my experience for the first 3 months solo in the trucking industry. All right, so let's start with the positives of the trucking industry as a whole. It's a positive to know that you're part of an industry that keeps America running. If there weren't truckers, there wouldn't be anything really. We'd still be using trains and stuff everywhere, but even then, trains, once they stop, they can't go everywhere. You still need trucks and local trucks and OTR trucks, regional trucks to get stuff moving throughout the country. So it's good to know that you're part of an industry that feeds America, basically. I like the autonomy that this industry gives you as a driver. That's kind of a two-edged sword depending on how you look at it. Autonomy in the way that, at least with Millis, you're free to stop when you want, where you want, as long as you're getting the freight to the receiver and you're showing up at shippers and receivers on a timely manner. But in between those, you have a little bit of leeway as far as the route you can go and where you want to stop and when you want to stop for the night. So I like that. They're not micromanaged out here. I think the pay is good. Is it up to what I think we should probably be paid? No, not really. But me being a very, very much a rookie out here, this is as much as I've made in my entire life, to be honest with you. And I have a 4-year business degree. So yeah, I've been, this is the most I've made on a weekly basis my entire life. So I'm happy with the pay right now. Once I hit that 1-year mark, 5-year mark, whatever, if I'm still in the industry, I would hope that would incrementally still go up. So, another positive of the industry, you get to see a lot of the country that you wouldn't normally get to see. It's absolutely, obviously not a desk job. You're not standing behind a counter, with that fake smile to customers, trying to make them happy, taking money, cleaning bathrooms or whatever, not punching a calculator back in a office or in a call center. Your office is, at least mine is, a sleeper rig. So it's a small space-ish, and you get to make it yours. but the panoramic view changes every single day. Yes, you see the stadiums, like the St. Louis Arch, different football, baseball stadiums, stuff like that. You see them as you're driving by. Very, very, very rarely will you be able to stop and actually go visit these places. But it's still kind of neat to drive by them and see them and what have you. And then drive like in the plains of Illinois or Indiana. And then later that day, you're in the Smoky Mountains of the Carolinas. Then you could be out in Texas, and the next day up in New York. So it's pretty neat and very flexible and changes constantly. And that goes into my last positive point of the industry. It's the same every day, but it's also different. It's same in the way that you have to do your pre-trip. You gotta do the same processes every single day to make sure that you're safe. The paperwork, you're doing that the exact same way every time to make sure it gets done properly. But then it's different because you're going to different places. So that's good. Now, some of the negatives of the industry. My number one complaint and frustration has to be parking. Every driver out here will tell you parking can be a nightmare. Now, if you're the type that likes to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then get shut down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not going to have any problem whatsoever anytime. You can always find a spot before 4:30, typically, Monday through Friday. Saturdays and Sundays, well, Friday evenings, Saturday evenings, and Sunday afternoon into the evening tends to be a lot slower with trucks because people are at home time and stuff, so it's a little bit easier on the weekends to find a parking spot. But Monday through Thursday, man, it can be a pain, especially if you have a later appointment in the day, say like a 5 o'clock appointment at a shipper or receiver, and then you go try to find a spot after 5 o'clock. Man, it can be tough. Sometimes you're manufacturing spots, and then you're just hoping that you don't get a knock on the door asking to move or whatever. Now, luckily, I haven't been forced to park in any places that would require that, or a DOT officer or a policeman knocking on my door saying, "Hey, you got to move," whatever. I've learned that pretty quick, and I trip plan based on where I'm going to park that evening. Basically, that starts my trip planning. Where do I want to end up, and then I work backwards from there. And that's boded pretty well for me thus far. Next negative of the industry, I mean, it's not really the industry, it just comes with the territory, is dealing with snow and ice. That's not fun. I don't like it. Nothing I can do about it other than not drive. But if you're smart about it and you're weighted down, these trucks are pretty safe for the most part, as long as you're not stupid and going over, faster than you need to. They're pretty safe. The regulations and the hours of service, the DOT mandated hours of service, they add a lot of stress, to be honest with you. Trying to get shut down. For example, right before I started this 34-hour reset, I was on my way to Cherokee, Alabama from east of Atlanta. I'm coming west on I-20, coming into Birmingham, Alabama, and I've never been to Birmingham, so it's brand new. And my fuel solution that Millis gave me was a Flying J in Birmingham. Well, the construction in Birmingham was just absolutely ridiculous. I had no idea what was going on. It was very, very heavy, very confusing. And the one road that I needed to get on, which is I-65 North, there were 0 signs for 65 North. And I'm going down looking for signs, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I get into the middle of the city and I have to do a U-turn in the middle of construction. I finally get that done, get back on the highway and miss another sign, or I'm still looking for I-65 North, and there are no signs whatsoever. So my original trip plan left me about 90 minutes left on my clock based on where I wanted to shut down for the night. Well, when I finally got to that location, which is this Petro I'm at right now, I had 1 minute left on my hours of service clock. So that really had me kind of stressed out. I mean, yes, I could have stopped a little bit earlier, but the Loves were full. The other truck stops were full. Yeah, I probably could have gone to a way station or a rest area sooner than this, but I wanted to make it to this Petro because I knew I was going to be doing this 34-hour. So I didn't want to be sitting in the middle of nowhere doing a 34. So it's a little bit expensive out here, especially at these truck stops. In my opinion, these truck stops are taking advantage of the professional driver. And again, in my opinion, the company drivers get screwed with the prices, because we're still having to stop here at these truck stops, but I think these places price their goods and their food and stuff based on how much money owner-operators make, because owner-ops have the ability to write a bunch of that stuff off. Like food, you know, you can write that off on your expenses. Stuff for your truck, I'm sure these people are able to write off chrome and stuff that accessories that they get for the truck. Obviously all the work that they get, but some of the prices are at a premium versus a standalone store. So that's a little bit negative. The last negative I have of the industry here is just going to unknown places. Adds a little bit of a stress factor to me. Going to a strange city I've never been to. Doing my best to trip plan, looking at Google Maps, Google Earth, whatever, trying to look at a top-down view of what I'm expecting when I get there. But still a little bit of stressful getting in there. Now, Millis. This video is already 13 minutes long, so I'm going to try to get through this a little bit quicker. So Millis, specific positives and negatives for the company Millis Transfer, which is who I drive for. Positives. We're treated like a person, not just a truck number. Yes, Millis has roughly 800 trucks, approximately 800 drivers, but it's still family owned. Millis, that's the last name of the people that own it, that have owned it since 1936, I believe. So the Millis brothers still own and operate it, and they treat everybody like family. And that trickles down through the trainers, the terminal managers, and it flows out into other drivers. So, we wave to each other when we pass each other on the street, on the highway, wherever. We're really cordial in the terminals and very friendly and stuff. So I like that. Home time, Millis is very, very, very good with home time. If you request it, they're motivated to get you home when you're requesting, as long as you're not taking advantage of it and doing it too often, more than they're what their regulations and all that stuff say, then yeah, your dispatcher is monetarily incentivized to get you home when you request it. The fueling flexibility, each dispatch load that they send you on, they will set you up with what's called a fuel solution. That is a suggested truck stop to get your fuel at. Well, say for example, I prefer to fuel at Love's because I like how their reward program works. So the more you fuel there, the more reward points and all that stuff you get. So if I get sent a pilot at a certain area, I look on the Trucker Path app and look to see what Love's truck stops are around that pilot that they gave me, and I will put in what's called a macro 29 to my dispatcher and ask for that particular Love's that I want to be compliant with the fuel solution program. And then 99% of the time they'll come back and okay it and say, yeah, you can go fuel there. Their bonus structures are great. You know, you get a fuel bonus, you get a safety bonus, fuel bonus once a month, safety bonus once a quarter, and then once a year, and then you get mileage bonuses based on how many miles you drive every week, every paycheck. I'm not going to get into that specifics on this video. The equipment's nice, typically no more than 3.5 years old. Then they trade it in and get you in a newer truck. We also have 24-inch TVs, direct TV, satellite TV, XM satellite radio, bunk heaters. Millis has private Facebook groups for support. We can ask questions to the current Millis driving community. Some people on there are former Millis drivers, but they stay connected because of their experience, and they still want to help out other drivers. We can ask questions if we're not sure about something. We can also utilize the search bar at the top, searching for information on shippers and receivers that we haven't been to before, such as, can we overnight there? Can we deliver early? Whatever. How do we get in there? Specific directions to get into that specific place. So that's really helpful. The pay for somebody just getting into the industry, just got my CDL 4 months ago. Across the industry for greenhorn truck drivers, Millis has, if it's not the very top pay, it's got to be in the top two or 1, 2, or 3. Has to be. I mean, I'm on pace now to make 50, 55 this year, and that's just coming out of the slow season, supposedly, from what I hear from a lot of other drivers. Today is April 3rd, 2019, so just coming out of that slow period, so the rest of this year should be pretty good with miles. And then the miles that they give you, which I'll get into here in a second. Some of the negatives with Millis specifically, they have a very high punishment for mistakes. If you get a preventable, which I have one on my record already, which I had frozen tandem tires. Anyway, I flattened the tread on 2 trailer tires, so I added up what that cost would be for me, both actual cost of the tires and potential lost bonuses. And that one small mistake ended up costing me approximately $5,000. Is every company like that? I don't know. Again, this is just my experience with Millis. I think they should change that a little bit, especially for rookies. It's just my opinion. I think $5,000 for a relatively small incident like that is pretty harsh. I mean, that's real money. $5,000, that's a lot of money. And the only other thing I could really think of as far as negatives with Millis is the software that they use for our Qualcomms is very slow and quite buggy. And it is really, really annoying. So, alright, so that's it for my positives and negatives. Let's get into my average numbers and pay and stuff for the first quarter of 2019. So for January, I averaged 2,442 miles per week. My average take-home pay, after taxes, after insurance, after everything, what went into my bank account was $894.84 average per week in the month of January. For the month of February, my average mileage was 2,626 miles per week. Average weekly pay of $954.92. For March, my average miles was 2,522. Average weekly pay was $924.99. So the average for the entire quarter was 2,530 miles per week. Average paycheck over the quarter was $924.92. Now, I went as far as converting that into a take-home cent per mile of 36.6 cents per mile in my pocket. Okay? Now, over that time, I've had some truck not breakdowns, but some days in the shop, probably I think a total of like 5 days in the shop, and I spent 5 days on home time. That's it. Over those 3 months. All right, so for the total since January 1st of 2019 through the end of March 2019, I've made a total of $12,006.40 and have driven a total of 24,862 miles. So, any of you newbies looking to come into the industry or Millis or whatever, those are some real, actual numbers that you can go by. Obviously, there's some drivers out there that would average more. There's some drivers out there that would average less, but that's what my numbers are. So, I know not a lot of people will put out actual numbers, but there you go. They're not fluffed. They're not whatever. Those are my actual numbers. So, all right, guys. Well, appreciate you watching. Like I said, hit subscribe. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, whatever, leave a comment below. Until next time, keep them wheels turning. Stay safe. See ya.